Sounds good. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to today's Age Well series presentation, which is Volunteering for a Better You, Purpose, Connection, and Growth. So my name is Jill Rankin. I'm the Executive Director for the Wisconsin Institute for Healthy Aging, and we are a nonprofit organization that aims to improve and support the health and well-being of all people as they age. And we do that by working with hundreds of different community organizations throughout Wisconsin and throughout the nation in disseminating evidence-based health promotion programs. We do the training and the support for those programs, and our multiple community partners work on delivering those programs in communities. And then we also engage in collaborative public health strategies throughout Wisconsin and beyond. So we're working on things like fall prevention awareness and social connection awareness, and lots of different great things that really matter to all of us as we age. So if you haven't already, we do have an Age Well newsletter that you can subscribe to. So if you haven't done that, we encourage you to go to our website at wihealthyaging.org and get connected through our newsletter. And then I'm just going to run through some logistics before I hand it over to our presenters. So a few housekeeping items. We are going to put all participants on mute until the presentation is over. And we'll also turn cameras off as well so that we can focus on our presenters. But we welcome you to please use the chat function to submit any questions or comments during the presentation. And then we will have our presenters answer those questions at the end of their presentation. But feel free to enter in any comments in the chat box during the session, and then we'll answer those at the Q&A time. We will also record this message, or this recording. This webinar will be recorded, and an email is going to be sent out to all registrants after the presentation is over. So those are our logistics. I'm going to open it up now to introduce our speakers. So we have Tony Amernick with us today and Peggy Kurth. So I will hand it over to you both, and thank you so much for being here today.
Hey, thank you very much, Jill. I'm Tony Amernick, and I've been retired for almost 7 years now. And right from the start, I'm just going to admit that volunteering has been a big part of my happiness in retirement. It's just been wonderful to be involved in volunteering and really added a lot to my happiness and my joy of retirement. Prior to that, I was working in nonprofit organizations for 45 years in human service type organizations in which volunteers were an important part of the workforce. And that's really where I developed my deep respect and appreciation for the work that volunteers do. Currently, I'm involved as a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I organized a homebound elderly visitation program and serve on the boards or committees on 4 different organizations that work on aging issues. And so these are the kind of experiences that have influenced what I will be sharing with all of you today. Now, when you look at older adult volunteering, about 26% of U.S. adults age 65 and older volunteer annually in what we call formal volunteering, where they sign up with an organization to be a volunteer. And in Wisconsin, that rate is about 33%. So we do a little bit more of that. On any given day in the United States, around 6 to 8% of older adults are actively involved in volunteering formally. Now, a greater number of older adults, actually 61% nationally, get involved in what's called informal volunteering annually. Informal volunteering is when you just help someone on your own without being part of any organization, kind of like when you help out an elderly neighbor. And as we look at these stats, we see most older adults are not involved in formal volunteering. And with the growing demographic of more older adults as a larger part of our society, the big question comes to who are the volunteers that will be available to support their independent living as we have more older adults needing help as they age? And that answer could lie in large part in the recruitment of more older adults and retirees who can get involved in volunteering to help meet that growing need. This actually is a great opportunity to pay it forward, as we may all need the help of others at some point as we age and try to live independently as we get older. Now, when we look at community needs, many of our nonprofit organizations rely very heavily on volunteers to deliver their services. Take Meals on Wheels delivery to homebound elderly and disabled persons, and Big Brothers Big Sisters as a couple prime examples. Not enough volunteers for these organizations means cutting services, or some people even going without services entirely. Now, when we talk about volunteering, we often say the value of volunteer services is priceless to our communities. Now, having said that, there actually is a monetary value established of $34 per hour for volunteer service in Wisconsin for the year 2024. Now, in real terms, using the ADRC as an example, the ADRC of Central Wisconsin, I should clarify, as an example, that translates to 413 volunteers providing over 26,000 hours of service at a value at over $831,000 in labor cost in the past year. And this example is only one example of one nonprofit organization in terms of the value and the impact of what volunteer service provides. And again, when you think about programs like Meals on Wheels that are so heavily reliant on volunteers, you can just imagine what a difference these volunteers make in services and support for the clients. Now, of course, all volunteers of all ages are critically important, and retired volunteers have even added benefits because they are available during the workday of the work week. This is when much of the volunteer help is needed. As an example, when are Meals on Wheels delivered? During the noon middle part of the day. School tutoring, when is that done? During the workday when everybody else is working and when older adults and retirees are available. Older adults also bring an additional value. They have a tremendous amount of life and job experiences, along with many talents and skills that they've developed over their life. And the research also indicates that they also tend to be some of the most reliable and most dependable volunteers that organizations have. Now, over the past few decades, we have seen a growing body of research that indicates volunteering leads to better health and that older adult volunteers are the most likely to receive the physical and mental health benefits from their volunteer activities. And this is according to the Corporation for National and Community Service. In fact, volunteering is so good for your health. Don't be surprised if your doctor prescribes it for you. Yeah, and don't be surprised. It won't probably be in a bottle like your normal prescriptions. This will come a little differently. When I was the RSVP director, as an example, I did have people come to me on occasion wanting to get some help in getting started in volunteering because their doctor actually did prescribe it for them. And the research on the health benefits of volunteering indicate that it takes about 100 hours a year or an average of 2 hours a week to reap significant health benefits from volunteering. Again, when people ask about this, they say, well, if 100 hours a year or an average of 2 hours a week gets me significant health benefits, what if I double that amount? Will I get double the benefit? And unfortunately, that answer is no. There may be additional increase in benefit from more volunteering, but this 100 hours a year, 2 hours a week kind of average is kind of a, if you want to call it a threshold benefit that you have to reach to get these significant health benefits. Doubling it does not provide a corresponding increase. And now to get more specific and learn more about the health benefits of volunteering, we're going to turn it over to Peggy Kurth.
Thanks, Tony. I'm Peggy Kurth. I currently work at the Aging and Disability Resource Center of Central Wisconsin. I've been the volunteer coordinator here for the past 3 years. And then prior to that, I was a community health educator for 16 years. working with evidence-based programs and WEHA, like Stepping On. I also, beyond that, have about 10 years of experience working with some nonprofits in the Wausau area, mostly focused on, uh, again, community education and volunteer coordination. I also, my last volunteer gig that I did was to volunteer as a foster for a dog rescue. And the picture that you see is Tucker, a little beagle that was released from being a breeder dog. So he lived in a cage for about 10 years. And I fostered him. That was the very first foster. And I failed in that I ended up adopting him. So he is now in my house as my dog. And the reason I put his picture up there is I could not find any recent pictures of me through work or even personally. I think I tend to be the one either hiding or taking the pictures. Well, let's look at some of the health benefits of volunteering, starting with mental and emotional health. Research has shown that volunteering leads to lower rates of depression and anxiety, especially for people 65 and older. Engaging in volunteer work can activate our brain's reward center, releasing beneficial transmitters like serotonin and dopamine that boost our mood and our overall mental health. As people age, they may lose social connections with others due to retiring, relocating, or the death of friends and family members. Volunteering provides opportunities for people to form new friendships, engage with like-minded individuals, and expand their social circles. These connections are really crucial for emotional well-being because they provide a sense of belonging and companionship. There is strong evidence that having good connection promotes healthy aging and reduces risk of a number of negative health outcomes. Another mental and emotional health benefit is improved cognitive function. Some research suggests that volunteering can reduce cognitive decline in older adults. Volunteering often involves learning new skills, doing some problem solving, participating in activities that require more cognitive effort. These experiences can stimulate the brain and promote mental sharpness. Activities like tutoring, mentoring, or participating in community planning help, helps keep our minds active and engaged. And when you combine that along with, again, making those social connections with new people, that just helps to contribute to our brain health. Increased self-esteem is also a benefit. Volunteering has shown to have a positive effect on self-esteem. Many older adults report feeling more valued and appreciated when they are contributing to a cause. The act of helping others boosts confidence and provides a sense of purpose and accomplishment. Participating in meaningful volunteer work can help individuals feel like active, important members of society, which can significantly improve their overall self-worth. Moving on to some physical health benefits of volunteering, increased physical activity. Volunteering helps you stay physically healthy. When you volunteer, you end up moving around more, leading to increased muscle strength and better balance. Studies have found that older volunteers tend to walk more, find it easier to cope with everyday tasks, are less likely to develop high blood pressure, and have better thinking skills and report less symptoms of chronic pain. So they tend to continue to be more active in their life, even outside of the volunteering. Another benefit is improved cardiovascular health. Engaging in volunteer work can have a positive effect on our heart health. Some studies from the American Journal of Preventive Medicine have shown that volunteer work can help lower our risk of heart disease. The entire circulatory system can benefit from just a few hours of volunteer work weekly, kind of like what Tony had mentioned with those 2 hours. Other studies have shown that volunteer work helps increase levels of good HDL cholesterol. It helps to lower blood pressure and decrease blood glucose levels. So that all helps us decrease our risk of having a stroke or developing heart disease. Regarding lower blood pressure, there was a study by Carnegie Mellon University that found for adults over 50 who volunteered at least 200 hours a year, they were able to decrease their risk of high blood pressure by 40%. And I know Tony had mentioned the 100 hours. This is more specific to blood pressure. So that's what they found. So again, the researchers attributed this to the reduced stress that volunteering provides and the increased physical activity that's involved in many volunteer tasks. Improved immune function is another benefit. So staying active and socially engaged is also linked to improved immune function. Regular participation in volunteer activities boost physical and mental well-being, which can help older adults stay healthier and reduce the frequency of getting common illnesses like colds or the flu. Volunteering can stimulate the release of endorphins, one of those feel-good hormones that contributes to our bodies having a better immune response. And last in this area, lower mortality rate. So studies have found that those who volunteer have a lower mortality rate than those who don't, even when they control for age, gender, and physical health. Basically, they have better physical function as they age. And again, kind of going back to that, people who are older volunteers tend to, keep that movement going beyond the volunteer activities. Social benefits. Social benefits. Volunteering enhances social connections. It's an excellent way to meet new people and strengthen some of our existing relationships. It provides opportunities to connect with others from diverse backgrounds who might have similar interests and values, and it fosters a sense of community and belonging. Individuals, when they're making these connections, can also build some supportive relationships that become a support network. So if they are going through a challenging time, they have this network of people who can help provide emotional and practical support. Definitely, they can be a valuable resource for advice, encouragement, and companionship. Social benefit as it reduces social isolation. I had mentioned a little bit earlier that, again, as we age, we go through some changes in the social connections that we have. And getting into volunteering, going out and trying something new and meeting new people, that again is going to reduce our feelings of being isolated. Making social connections helps us maintain a sense of community and belonging, which are really beneficial for people, especially if they're feeling isolated or lonely. Another benefit, which is a pretty cool one, is intergenerational interactions. Volunteering really promotes more of intergenerational connections. We have a lot of volunteer opportunities that involve working with people of different ages, might be younger adults or children. And when you have these type of intergenerational interactions, it allows older adults to share their wisdom and experiences while also learning from younger generations. The exchange of ideas between different age groups fosters mutual respect and understanding, which enriches both the older adults and the younger volunteers. They start to learn more about um, different generations and not necessarily stick to um, thinking that because one generation is different than the other, um, that they wouldn't want to connect with them. So this gives them a really good opportunity to have that option to do that. And improved communication skills. When you volunteer, you're interacting with people from different backgrounds, cultures, ages, and perspectives. And this provides opportunities to practice our verbal and nonverbal communication with different audiences. And we have an opportunity to learn how to adapt our communication style to different situations. Having those experiences can really build skills in providing clear communication, um, actively listening, building empathy for others, appreciating different viewpoints, and collaboration and working as a team together. This slide, Why Should I Volunteer, is a graphic that Tony and I wanted to provide for you. It is a nice way of quickly showing what volunteering can do for you if you're ever talking to somebody. Um, it shows all of the benefits that I just mentioned regarding physical fitness, your mental capabilities, sense of purpose, that social connection, that all of those increase. And on the other side, it shows like what you can reduce your risk of, which is depression, chronic pain, stress, risk of disease, and social isolation. So we just wanted to provide that because it's kind of a nice way to just look at it and go, oh, yeah, I get that. Now, I'm going to turn it back over to Tony, and he's going to talk about longevity and quality of life.
Okay, thank you, Peggy. Well, engaging your passions, skills, and interests in your volunteering is another important aspect of how volunteering can add to the quality of your life. Getting involved with a cause or organization you are passionate about can, of course, be very rewarding. You can also use your talents and skills to really make a difference for that organization. You can even choose in volunteering to develop new skills and have new life experiences. It's a great opportunity to branch out, try something new and different that you've always wanted to learn about. Volunteering can also contribute to your overall happiness in retirement. One retirement author found in his research that volunteering was rated the #1 core pursuit of the happiest retirees in a survey group of 2,000 retirees. So now we have to answer the question, what is a core pursuit? Well, he describes a core pursuit as a hobby on steroids. It's doing something that drives and fulfills you. Interestingly, volunteering rated higher than other retirement favorite activities such as travel, golf, and many other things. So again, I want to emphasize the number one rated core pursuit of the happiest retirees in his survey was volunteering. Getting involved in volunteer activities that are the right fit for you can provide benefits to your overall health and quality of life in so many different ways. Now, I'm sure we're all familiar with that warm, good feeling we get inside whenever we help somebody else. Over the past few decades, scientists have studied that and the health benefits of what they call pro-social behavior, often referred to as the quote, helper's high. When we give when we give in any form, whether it be of our time, we write a check, give money, or in other ways, our brains release dopamine, serotonin, and lots of other happy hormones that make us feel warm and tingly inside. And again, I want to emphasize the research shows that it isn't just volunteering in terms of physical acts of doing something, but it can be even, writing that check to a charitable organization you believe in. Any form of giving creates some of that positive benefit in terms of a health benefit that we call the helper's high. Those who volunteer have lower rates of depression, lower mortality rates, higher self-esteem, and greater functional ability than those who do not volunteer, according to the research. And with all this good news and all the benefits of volunteering, we need to address the question, could there ever be too much of a good thing? Well, of course, you can't overdose from too much volunteering, but I have had people who've loved it so much they overextended themselves. They felt stressed and overwhelmed because they were taking on more than they could handle. And the important thing to remember is that, like everything else in our lives, balance is the key. Plan the activities in your life based on your own priorities on how you want to spend your time, and then make adjustments as needed to get things back on track if they get out of whack. And so again, yes, volunteering has so many positive, wonderful benefits, but is it possible to get overextended? Yes, it is. And just to be aware that if you ever find yourself in that situation, take a minute, take a step back, get things back in balance so that you continue to benefit from all the health benefits of volunteering and enjoy that experience. One of the challenges many retirees face is the transition from a work lifestyle to a retirement lifestyle. Work, by its very nature, provides a sense of meaning and purpose. Work also takes care of managing what we do with our time during the work hours of the work week. So, when we no longer go to work, the question becomes, how do we find that sense of purpose and meaning in our life? How do we define who we are and what we are all about in our lives now? How are we going to spend that 40 or 50 hours a week now that we once spent at work? And for many people, volunteering is an important part of their retirement lifestyle. And like I mentioned earlier, for me, it was one of the important parts of my happiness in retirement is my volunteering. So for many people, volunteering provides meaning and purpose along with some structure in their weekly routine. The right volunteer fit for you boosts your health, happiness, and overall quality of life in retirement. Okay, like with everything in life, there are always some myths that are surrounding it. So, first of all, I'm going to go over a couple of volunteering misconceptions that are out there. There is one comment that I hear most often from people who don't volunteer, and it goes something like this. If I get involved in volunteering, I'll have to give up doing some of the other things I enjoy in my life. Another one I hear often is if I get involved in volunteering, I'll feel tied down and lose the freedom to do unplanned activities when opportunities arise. And the truth of the matter is, wait for it, here it comes. You can have it all. You can do volunteering without sacrificing the other things that you enjoy in your life. The key to having it all is to select volunteer activities that fit your lifestyle and plan your time accordingly. And I'm just going to give a couple examples in my own life on that, how you can have it all. I feel like in my retirement, I do have it all, and I'm able to do a lot of retirement volunteering. And so what I do is I volunteer with Meals on Wheels, but I only volunteer in the wintertime. And the reason being is that during the rest of the year, I'm not a very reliable volunteer that they can count on because I'm off traveling, fishing, and doing many of the things with family and friends and so forth. So, but in the wintertime, I don't go anywhere. My wife and I do it together. So it's a great together activity that we do. And we're very reliable because we're always around in the winter. Um, Something else, as an example, is I do homebound visits to elderly homebound persons. And that's something that I can do whenever it fits in my schedule. So again, something that I can do to help others and volunteering, but yet does not disrupt or change my desire to do my fun activities. And then I'm also on about 5 different boards and committees involved with aging issues. Now, I can be traveling anywhere in the country for that matter and still participate in the meetings and activities by phone, online, and so forth. So I really can be helpful and involved without sacrificing any of the things I enjoy. And my point, I guess, to anyone out there who is skeptical about volunteering and afraid that it might interrupt all the fun things that they have in their life, I'm here to tell you that it's possible to do both. You can enjoy volunteering, make a difference, help people, make a difference in your community and an impact, and you can still enjoy all the wonderful things that are out there. It just requires a little bit of planning and consideration in terms of your priorities, what you want to do, and fitting it all together. There are a wide range of ways to volunteer from one-time events, seasonal kind of volunteering, limited volunteer time opportunities, to flexible, available when you are opportunities. There's really more out there than you can even imagine. So I really want to encourage you to take a look and see what's out there and available to you. And talking about the different opportunities, I'm going to ask Peggy to provide some information about Meals on Wheels volunteering as a good example.
Oops, forgot how to unmute myself.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so Meals on Wheels, we have a variety of volunteers, some who like to volunteer weekly, some who maybe just do it one time a month, and some who are kind of sporadic, where they serve as subs to fill in when someone is traveling or is out ill. We also have Adopt a Route, which is for businesses and organizations or churches where they agree to cover a Meals on Wheels route. Um, Sometimes it's every week. They're going to cover a route like Route 6 on Friday, and we know that that route is covered. Then what they do is they rotate who actually delivers the meals. If it's a business, it would be among staff, or if it's a church, then it would be members of that church. And that way it doesn't end up being a big commitment on one person to do that. So it could be that if we have some credit unions that cover some routes in Marshfield for us, and they actually only deliver one time a month. And then we have another organization covering the other Wednesdays of that month. But they rotate and have a couple of staff go out together. So they have fun, they're not on their own. Um, and again, it's not a big commitment to them. We do have people who want to volunteer with friends or family members, and we definitely can make that work. Um, in the summer, oftentimes we'll have grandparents who have their grandchildren come along with them when they're delivering Meals on Wheels. So there's a lot of different ways that you can, that's just one example of a volunteer opportunity being flexible, but there's lots of ways that organizations will work with people who want to volunteer to make it work in their schedule.
Okay, thank you, Peggy. I think it's also important to emphasize, like Peggy just did, that organizations are usually very flexible in working with you and the available time that you have to volunteer. And remember, you bring very valuable talents, skills, and abilities that they really need. And most often, they're going to work to make things work out for you and them so you can get involved and make a difference. Um, and don't think that volunteering that you do is necessarily a long-term commitment unless you want it to be. Sometimes people think if I get involved in volunteering now, I'm committed for the long haul. It's not that way. It's volunteering for as long as you want. Volunteering your time and talents is giving, of course, a very valuable gift. And you can think of it a little bit like when you make a donation of money. You determine if you want to, how much, how often, or if you want to stop doing it at any time. You are the one in total control of the situation. And remember, the gift of your time and talents also have a real monetary value as well. So, again, very flexible. So, definitely look into it and see what opportunities there are for you. Okay, following the program today, along with the slides that you'll be getting, you'll get a handout entitled Right Fit for You Volunteering 101 Questions to Ask Yourself. And on the screen, you see just a little bit of that page one. So whether you're a new volunteer or just getting started or a current volunteer, you may find the Right Fit for You Questions to Ask Yourself questionnaire to be a useful tool. It helps in identifying some of the things that are important to you in choosing the volunteer activities that are the best match for your time, talents, and interests. The end goal of it being to provide you with a meaningful volunteer experience that enriches your life and provides the health benefits for you that we talked about today. Now, as we look at that first page, it has questions which focus on helping you identify the reasons you want to get involved in volunteering and what you hope to gain from the experience. It also helps you determine what talents and skills you want to use while volunteering, or if there are new skills you would like to learn. It also encourages you to consider the what I call try it before you buy it approach to better understand the volunteer opportunity you are exploring before you make the commitment. Now, what do I mean by try it before you buy it? So, as an example, Peggy mentioned the Meals on Wheels. So, let's say, and my wife and I actually did this before we became Meals on Wheels volunteers. We went for a ride along with an existing volunteer to see what it was all about, to understand, how it works, what you do, et cetera, and get a feel for it. And the whole idea was to get an idea if we would feel comfortable doing it and if we might like doing it and so forth, because we had never done anything like that before. So we went on the ride along and came away realizing, oh my gosh, this is really simple, easy, and you're really doing something that makes a big difference in the lives of the homebound elderly and disabled people getting the meals. So of course, the ride along, sold it to us that this was something we definitely wanted to do. And many organizations allow opportunities for you to see that volunteer activity in action. You can visit the organization to kind of get an idea if you're unsure or a little bit uncertain about whether or not you might like to do something. And before you make that commitment, it gives you a chance to, as I say, try it before you buy it. So, and then the second page asks you to identify the cause or purpose for your volunteering interest, along with determining how often and when you want to volunteer. Um, it also invites you to identify the personal goals you want to achieve as part of your volunteer experience. Some choices are maybe social connections, learn new things, make a difference, as some examples. Going through the questionnaire can be helpful in determining the right volunteering fit for you and providing you with a meaningful experience. And the whole idea of this is you kind of go through the questionnaire to really do a little bit of, I guess, if you want to call it a self-appraisal of why you want to get involved in volunteering, what you want out of it, what kind of volunteering you might want to do, when you might want to do it, how much time you want to give to it. Are there maybe certain times of the year only that you want to volunteer? It kind of sets the table a little bit so that when you go to talk to or visit an organization, you have a pretty good idea of what you want and the kind of opportunity you're looking for. And it makes it a lot easier for that nonprofit organization to then help you find the right fit for your volunteering interests and so forth. And it also increases the likelihood that that match that's made will be a good one and that you will be happy with your volunteer experience and the organization will find that your skills and talents really meet their needs as well. So it's just a little bit of a, if you want to say, pre-assessment kind of questionnaire that you do to help yourself find the right fit for you in terms of volunteering. And if you're not sure about volunteer opportunities in your community, there is often a local volunteer agency, United Way, or some other resource that can be of help. And of course, nonprofit organization websites often list their volunteer opportunities also. And of course, you can always just give an organization a call that you have an interest in, have a conversation with them about their needs, your interests, and take it from there. So, many ways to get started and get involved. And, so I suggest that, don't let the fact that maybe if you haven't volunteered before, now's a great time to start, especially if you're retired. It adds so much to your retirement happiness and your lifestyle. So, okay, Peggy, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Great, and I'm just going to take over quickly here.
Yeah.
So just letting everyone know about our upcoming events and then kind of also sharing, we're just asking that everyone complete the evaluation from today. And if you are able to complete that today, you'll be entered to win an Age Well t-shirt, as you can see here on the screen. That evaluation will automatically pop up right when you close out of your Zoom window. And then just from information about some upcoming Age Well series. So on September 9th, we have the Denying Gravity film screening. Please note that that will be a live event only, so there will not be a recording of that event. And then on September 24th, we have an in-person event at the United Community Center. This is the Denying Gravity film screening in Spanish. So that is again on September 24th. And then on October 22nd, we have an Age Well series focused on oral health. So we hope that you all will join us for those upcoming events as well. And then I'll turn it back over to Peggy and Tony for questions and answers. So if anyone does have any questions, please feel free to come off mute and or use the chat box to ask those questions. I'm not seeing any questions right away. Tony or Peggy, would one of you have any kind of example or testimonials of some good experiences that volunteers have had that they've shared with you?
Yes. I'm just trying to think of them. We this year started a volunteer feature Friday where every Friday we feature one of our volunteers and have asked them like how long they've been here, what made them want to start volunteering, what are their, did they have a favorite experience? And definitely like they're in Wausau, we have a memory cafe that we have volunteers help at. And I remember that volunteer commenting that it really put things in perspective when you're, I guess I should explain what a memory cafe is. It's um, uh, once a month where people who are living with dementia, usually more the early stages, and a family member can go be amongst other people who are experiencing that. And then there's usually speaker and food, and we have volunteers that sit at the tables with them just to kind of, make it feel like a family situation. Um, but she commented on how with interacting with people who are going through some challenges health-wise, um, and all the range of emotions that brings, that it really puts things in perspective for her. And again, sometimes we can get caught up in focusing on things that are not maybe going right in our life. But when you are able to step outside of that and help somebody else and actually make another human connection, and you can see um, if they're playing music that somebody remembers, has a memory from way back. So it's those things I think that really kind of add to that, um, getting us out of our own heads, and also seeing how what other people are dealing with, and different environments.
Great. There are a few questions that just came in. So the first one's for Tony. Tony, what would you miss the most if you stopped volunteering?
Okay, what I miss the most? That's a good one. Volunteering really provides so many things in my life that add to the richness of my life, that there's a lot, but I would say one thing is that it's the social connection with a lot of really wonderful people. It puts me in a position that I'm interacting with a lot of people that, which I say are kind of like uplifting, positive people, that because of your interaction and connection with them, they actually enrich your life and make your life better because of the kind of people they are. So volunteering puts me in connection with a lot of those kind of people. And the other thing, of course, is the fact that, okay, here I am, a human being on this earth. What's my purpose? What am I here for? And when you're involved in volunteering with something that you feel really makes a difference in somebody's life, that really, if you want to say, reinforces, you know, why you're on this earth and what your purpose. You have purpose, and so that's a big deal. Um, and the other thing is, I guess it's just it gives me it's stimulating. When I go and deliver Meals on Wheels, the routes and finding the houses contributes to my cognitive ability. I have to find the house and the place to deliver the meal and not get in an accident, even when it's snowy, rainy, or icy. So it's just a lot of, and it's really neat too, because delivering the meals, well, my wife and I have been doing it, I think, about 5 years now. And so we're seeing some of the people, and they know us, we know them year after year. And we see, unfortunately, some of the decline over the years as they're aging and so forth. And, but that's all part of the experience. And it feels really good to do some of these things, because as I get older in age and I need some support to help me live independently, I'm hoping somebody will be there to deliver me that meal or give me that ride or whatever it is. So the fact that I can do it now, and like paying it forward, I guess, if you will, that also gives me a lot of satisfaction. So I don't know. That's just what came off the top of my head is what I would miss. So
There's a question on any suggestions on how to get volunteers to own the role, meaning most volunteer but don't share that they do. They don't want to toot their own horn. Any suggestions on how to get them to share their experience to encourage others?
Well, I have run into that with the volunteer feature Fridays of running into volunteers who really don't want to make themselves public. And the idea behind it really was because we serve 4 counties. We have so many staff that never see our volunteers and never have an interaction with them. And we wanted to be able to introduce them to staff. So part of it is we put it on an internal blog that staff can read. So some people were comfortable with that. We also, if they were okay with it, put it on social media because, again, what they're doing is so important that we would not be able to do what we do without them. And um, we want people to know that. And it's really good for helping to recruit more volunteers because they see it. But we have run into people who, don't want that kind of recognition, and we do respect that. I would say though that what I've run into here is a mixture. So it's not all volunteers who don't want to toot their own horn. We have a lot, many people who've been volunteering for years who are very open about volunteering and they do share that. Um, One way that we've tried to encourage people is by explaining again um, the importance of what they do, some of the hours and the dollar amounts that Tony shared. We try and share that kind of concrete evidence, like these are how many Meals on Wheels meals we were able to deliver. These are how many people we reached in stepping on classes. Um, this is all of what we were able to do because of your office support. So they understand that what they're doing is important and that by talking, if they're comfortable talking about it with others, that just helps other people to understand and learn about our agency, but also learn about, oh, volunteering. That might be something I would want to try.
Great.
I
And
don't know.
kind of segueing right from there, do you have any suggestions on how to best recognize volunteers, best practices, or examples of what organizations have done?
Sure. I know a lot of organizations do, April is Volunteer Appreciation Month. A lot of organizations will do a big event, could be a meal um, with, you know, usually some kind of promotional gift. Um, we aren't really able to do that again because we have so many different sites. So we've tried a few different things of having little individual celebrations in each of those areas. Um, but again, you only get probably maybe a third of the volunteers going to that. We just did a survey, which is going to be closing in another week, asking volunteers, do they feel appreciated? How would they like to be recognized? Do they attend, that one-time event, or do they prefer more ongoing? Because what we'd like to do is really not just save it for one time a year or say we really appreciate you, but that they know that every time they come in and volunteer. And the ones that I saw, I think our site managers and our staff are really good at saying thank you, so most of the people that I've read do feel appreciated. And again, it's that what they like is that feeling it gives them when they're able to do something that is making a difference. Uh,
Great.
but like sending birthday cards, that's a way to recognize. Um, Getting letters like individualized for volunteers that have comments from some of our customers, little things like that, acknowledging anniversary dates. We haven't really done like hours just because like um, not everyone is able to volunteer a ton of hours and we don't want someone to feel less important because they can volunteer maybe 5 hours a month and someone else can do 30.
Great. There's another question. Do you have the references for the data that you cited on the benefits for volunteers?
Yeah, it's from a number of different places, but yes, I can track those down and share them with you, Erin.
Great. And then there's just some comments on thanking you for the great information, and shared that they're just starting to think about volunteering, and this information has been really helpful. And another individual who commented that she loves volunteering, and we never know the ripple effects that we have on other people's lives, how rewarding that is.
Yeah, that's a good way. Yeah, it is a ripple effect.
Great. I'll leave just a couple of seconds, see if anyone else has any questions. Otherwise, we can wrap up for the day. Thank you both, Peggy and Tony, for being here and presenting. We have really enjoyed this presentation.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us.
All right, take care, everyone.
Bye.